ballpark. And a 74, a ballpark 74. The pitcher is a lefty hitter. Lefty pitcher, lefty hitter. And that's going to be in play. So we're going to roll in play. And it's a 47, an in play 47 on a number 9 hitting card. In play 47. That's going to be in the out range. And that is going to be a ground ball hit to third base. Third baseman Hebner guns it to first. Out number 1. And next is going to be Andre Dawson. Now our last video froze. That's a 5. That's tough. 33, tough 33. It's going to be a strikeout. And that's strikeout number 2. And out number 2. And next is going to be Rodney Scott. So 5, that's tough. A tough 72 is a line drive second base, L4. That's off the modified version that you can pick up at Sideline Strategies Delphi. And that's 3 up, 3 down here in the bottom of the third. We go to the top of the fourth. Now the Mets picked up their home run on a home run by Youngblood in the top of the second, and then in the bottom of the second it was Valentine who walked, and after 2 were out it was a double by Parrish that drove in Valentine. So Parrish has been clutch. Willie Montanez popped up in his first at bat. And that's a 2. That's going to be defense, a defense 89. That's going to be out no matter what. We're going to see, and that's going to be, I think I pulled that card already. Let's see. Let's do somebody different. Oh, same thing. Okay, 4-3. Montanez grounds to second base, 1 out. Next is John Stearns. It's a pitch to Stearns, right-hander. 50 and 11, which is a 57. And a righty all the way to 1 to 68. So that 57 is going to put him into the wheelhouse range against a lefty. He's 1 to 19, and that ball's gone. And that's a 0-4. That's a deep drive to left. And back goes Cromartie to the track, to the wall, looks up. It's out of here. We'll double check that to make sure. But I know that Ross Grimsley wishes he had that pitch back. A 0-4 is right there, and 11 is ballpark, and we rolled to put it into the wheelhouse. The wheelhouse is a 0-4 roll, and that's a home run. John Stearns. Mets, again, the home run ball puts them up by a run. Now, the Mets lost 99 games in 79, so if I can lose 97, I am a master manager. So that's a 9. That's a range check. 71. That's going to be outside of range. So it's going to be an out no matter what, and that's an out to the second baseman. 4-3 again. So Rodney Scott showing that he can flash the glove at second base. Next is Joel Youngblood, and that's a 6. That's tough. A tough lefty. A tough 12 is a strikeout. Is strikeout number 2, out number 3, but the Mets pick up 1 big run on 1 big hit, and they lead it 2-1 after 3.5. We go to the bottom of the fourth. Cromartie steps in the box against Pat Zachary. Pat Zachary against Warren Cromartie. So it's righty versus lefty. And that's a 7. A 7 is in play. An 80, an in play 80 is out range. And that's going to be a fly ball center field. Valentine. That's a 4. Tough. A 63. Tough 63. That's in the out range as well. That's going to be a ground ball. Second base. Flynn throws him out for out number 2, and next is going to be Tony Perez. And that's a 7. That's in play. In play 4, and that ball is lined. Base hit, single for Perez. Perez on at first with 2 outs, and with 2 stolen bases, it requires a snake eyes for a steal, and that's not going to happen. So next is Gary Carter. That's an 11. That's defense. Defensive check and a 58. I'm going to look on the error. 58. It goes up to 50, so it's going to be an out no matter what. An out to who? To the ground ball to the first baseman. Bobbled it for a second, but got control of it for out number 3. Go to the top of the 5th. 2-1 Mets. Doug Flynn. Going to see Doug Flynn coming up. Ross Grimsley on the mound. Ross Grimsley was 10-9 with a 5.35 ERA. So he's pitching pretty well for that sort of ERA in this game. And that's a 3. That's ballpark. Flynn is a righty, so that's a 75. That's going to be in play. It goes up to 68. An in play 75, and that's an out range. And that's going to be a fly ball, center field. 1 away. Pitcher next. Zachary. Say, pitcher hitting card 5. That's a 9. That's a range. A range 68. That's going to be out of. That's going to be in everyone's range, and it's going to be third base, 5-3. Now I could look the type of out, and I will here. I'll look at the type of out. It says out third base. It's actually a pop-up. I'm sorry, pop 5. There you go. It's just to spread the wealth. Mazzilli, Lee Mazzilli. Now Lee Mazzilli's son is playing with the Mets. He played last year. And that's a 6. That's going to be a tough. So Mazzilli's going to need a 37 to a 51 for a hit. And that's not going to do it. A 12 is going to be a strikeout. Mazzilli down on strikes. No, it was a 34 to a 50. Lefties. But it's a strikeout. Mazzilli down on strikes. And that's strikeout number 3. And out number 3. And we go to the bottom of the 5th now. Now we're starting to move because we got our lineup sheet, our scorecard created after starting the game with nothing. Just sitting down and turning on the camera. We're not ready, but this is game number 9 of our Mets replay. See how long we can go with this. Mets lost 99 games that year, so they're not very good. So it's not about really playing baseball to win. It's just about getting to know the players and having the fun of rolling the dice and the excitement of that 9th inning comeback. You know, that sort of thing is always exciting, or that amazing pitching performance. So that's a 10. That's going to be in play. Larry Parrish, I believe. Parrish, yep. In play 0-1, and that's going to be aligned in the gap. And after it is Henderson, and Henderson gets it in, but not in time. So it's a double for Parrish. That's his second double of the game. He's got 2 doubles, and it's a leadoff double. Chris Spire, that's a 6. That's patient. A patient 62 versus a righty. That's going to be in the out range. It's going to be a ground ball second base. Now, if Parrish is a 7, I believe, he goes to third. And he is a 7 runner. Look at that. And that doesn't represent his speed. That represents his base running ability. So he's going to hustle and make it to third. So with 1 out, Parrish is showing off his base running acumen. And he makes it to third, but unfortunately for the Expos, it's going to be the pitcher Ross Grimsley. And that's a 10. That's in play. An in play 61 under a 9. That's going to be in the out range. That's going to be a ground ball second base with the infield back. That could mean a run, and I believe with a 7 runner is going to, and it is. So the infield's back and Parrish scores. It's going to be RBI for Grimsley. And the game is tied. Mets could have brought the infield in, but we did not expect the pitcher to do that. We did not want to risk, you know, a grounder going through for a base hit, and I think it was a mistake. So here goes Andre Dawson with 2 out. That's a 3. That's a wheelhouse. A 91 for a righty puts it into the in-play range. And that's an in-play 44 versus a righty is going to be in the out range, and that's going to be a grounder to first. First baseman Montanez, he handles it for out number 3, but the damage has been done. The leadoff double, and then making productive outs, both Spire and Grimsley bring home Parrish from third. And the game is tied now, so it's 1 hit and 1 run. And we go to the top of the 6th inning. It's going to be Tim Foley for the Mets. Now, Tim Foley never got a hit with the Mets. He played in 3 games and had 7 at-bats. He's not available as a regular player. I had to pull his card from the Pittsburgh Pirates because that's where he played his whole season. I could have gone and printed out his card as a Met, but I decided not to waste my time and do that. So here's the pitch from Grimsley to Foley. It's a 7. That's patient. And that's a 97. That's going to be in the out range. And a 97, is a fly ball to left. Hold on. Get a quick sip. So Henderson. Now, we're going to have 3 games at Philadelphia after this game. So that's going to happen this weekend. So that's going to be exciting. I don't know what time I'll play it or when I'll play it, but I'm going to be playing it. It's going to be Henderson, Stevie Henderson, who's single, stole a base, and then flied out. Into a fielder's choice. That's 5. That's in play. And that's a 77 in play versus the lefty 77. That's out range. That's going to be a fly ball. It's going to be the center fielder, Dawson, there for out number 2. Willie Montanez. And that's an 11 ballpark. Montanez is a lefty, 06, and that's going to put us in the wheelhouse range against a lefty. For Montanez, it's a 1-11. Oh, it's a 41, and that's going to be out of range, and that's going to put us in the out category, and that's going to be a grounder to the first baseman, Perez, and he takes it himself for out number 3. So 3 up, 3 down in the top of the 6th for the Metsies. The Miracle Mets. In 79, they just were the disastrous Mets. Lost 99 games, so it was sad to see that. And next is going to be Rodney Scott leading it off against Pat Zachary. It's an 8. That's patient. That's always trouble. A patient 83, and that's in the out range. That's going to be a ground ball to short. Playing shortstop is Foley and throws out. Scott gets him by a step. Scott really has that speed going down that line. Pitch from Zachary, a 5. That's a tough, I guess that's a 63. A tough 63 is a grounder to short again. Foley to his left. 2-way. And it's Ellis Valentine, 11. That's defense. All right, let's make some space here. Defense. And that's a 0-4. Defense 0-4 is going to be shortstop range, and that's going to be a hit. What kind of a hit? Let's find out. A hit to shortstop is a single. So a shortstop single, a 2-out single through the hole, and Foley could not get to. So Valentine had 11 stolen bases, so he's going to try to steal. We need a 4 or less, and no, it's above a 4, so he doesn't try to steal. Couldn't get the lead. And it's Perez, and that's a 5. That's tough. A tough 67. That's in the out range. That's a ground ball, second base. And Flynn flips to Foley for the force out. Out number 3. So 1 hit, no runs. And we go to the 7th inning. It's I got 2 in here. Look at that. Wow. Yeah. I'll be in the 7th inning now. Gonna fix this paper just a little bit to have a clearer view of the 7th inning. And Perez made an out. And Ross Grimsley's on the mound for the Expos. John Stearns, I believe, is up. And John Stearns was number 5. I'm not going to be able to do that. Because I can't see what's going on unless we do something like this. There we go. All right. All right, look what I did there. This is going to be pretty ugly. All right, so John Stearns is up. And let's roll for Stearns. He hit a home run in his last at bat. That's a 9. That's a range. A range 66. It goes up to 65, so that's going to be an out. Who makes the out? First baseman. Dives for the ball, quickly gets up and runs, beats Stearns to the bag. 1 away here in the top of the 7th inning. Next is going to be Richie Hebner, left-handed hitting third baseman. That's a 3. That's ballpark. 77. That's going to be in play. An in play 75, and that's going to be an out. In play 75 is a fly ball to center. Out number 2. Now it's Youngblood. Youngblood homer today. That's a 9. A 9 is a range check, 74, and that's within everybody's range. So that's going to be an out. Who's the out to? It says it right there. Error, second base, but it's a range. So it's going to be a ground ball. And we can see if it's a pop-up or not. A ground ball, second base. It says out is a ground ball. 4-3. 3 up, 3 down. We go to the bottom of the 7th. Pretty good ball game. It's tied at 2 here in Montreal, 1979. 1979 Olympic Stadium. Pat Zachary's still in there for the Mets. 2-2 ball game. And it's going to be leading off is going to be Gary Carter. So Carter up to bat. Carter's a right-handed hitting catcher. Batted 288 versus righties. It's a 7. That's in play. And an in play 71. That's going to be an out range. It's being lined and caught by the second baseman. L4. Larry Parrish. Tough. A tough 0-5. A tough 0-5. It's going to be a strikeout. Parrish strikes out. 2 away. And that's strikeout number 1, 2, looks like 3. 3 on the day for Pat Zachary. Pat Zachary came to the Mets in that Seaver trade. I call it the day of abomination. And it's going to be Chris Spire, 9. That's in play. In play 0-6, and that ball is line base hit left field. So Spire on at first, and next is going to be Grimsley. Not going to and Spire, you know what? Spire may run. Let's see what Spire had. He had he had 0-0, so he's not running. All right, so Grimsley, what do we do with him? We're going to try to hit. That's a 6. That's patient. A patient 66, 9. It's going to be outrange, and that's going to be a ground ball, second base, over to first. Out number 3. 1 hit, no runs, no errors. We go to the top of the 8th. It's a 2-2 ball game. Pretty good game here. Going into getting close to the end. And we have both starting pitchers are still in there. The minute they get in trouble, you know, they're going to be out of there and in the locker room, in the showers. But they're still in there for now. Leading off is going to be Doug Flynn. Let's roll. It's off the pitcher, 7, patient. So that's an advantage for Flynn. Takes his time. A 0-8 against a lefty is going to be a base on balls. So Flynn walks. Flynn is on at first. Now Flynn had no stolen bases. We're going to roll anyway because, you know what, we're not going to steal right now because with Zachary we're going to actually bunt. And what kind of bunter was Zachary? He was a deep bunter. It's a deep bunter. Let's see what the Gil Flores pinch hits in this game, and I think we're going to have to pull that off. Gil Flores, what kind of bunter is he? He's an A bunter. He's an A bunter, so the pitcher's out. Pitcher hitting card is out. Gil Flores is in, so we're going to put Flores. He's going to pinch hit for the pitcher. We're going to do that right there. And Flores is going to square away. And all we have to do is look what, this is how nice and sweet this game is. He's an A bunter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically grab a card and look at A bunt as a sacrifice hit. So that's a successful sacrifice. And I don't know how to use this other. There's a 10 and a 12 there sacrifice. I don't know what that means totally. Exactly sure. I don't know how to use that. I have to look that up or have somebody tell me. It's a 10 and a 12. He can't be an A bunter if those are the only number. Those are the numbers you need for a successful sacrifice. That wouldn't make sense. So those are probably the numbers that you need for an unsuccessful sacrifice. Everything else would be a successful sacrifice. It's an A bunter. Sacrifice 3, so I don't know what that is. There's a bunch of information there. Anyway, that's the way I play it. So it's a successful sacrifice. And over to second goes Flynn. So now the go-ahead run is at second base, and up comes Lee Mazzilli. And that's a 5, Grimsley. That's in play 31 and in play 31. This is going to be good news for the Mets, I think. And it just, look at that. That's the last number on his hit column, in play. In play 31 is a base hit single. Let's see what the card says happens. Runner on second advances 1 base. Oh man, a single drops in front of the left fielder. Too bad. With 2 outs and a runner being a 6 or more, he would score. But now it's first and third. First and third, and it's going to be Tim Foley. Tim Foley, this is bad news for the Mets at this point. All right, so Tim Foley's going to have to bat now. Now we're struggling with this because Tim Foley, I don't think, had a hit with the Mets. And what my plan was is that he wouldn't get a hit with the Mets. In other words, I would make his hits an out. And let me just double check his stats with the Mets that year. In 79, he played 3 games, he had 7 at bats, and he had no hits. So the best we could, I don't know what's the best we could do here outside of walking. So let's see what happens. That's going to be a 10. That's in play. An in play 19. So a 10 is in play, and that's a 19. But we can't play it as that. So we're going to have to play it as an out. So we're going to go to 25 in the out area. And that's going to be a ground ball to third. And oh, it's a first and third, a ground ball. That's going to be a double play. No, a 10 won't be a double play. Okay, so it's not a double play. It's going to be a 3 unassisted. And Mazzilli goes to second. Oh, and this may score Flynn. Let's see if Flynn's a 7. Flynn's a 7. I'm going to bring the infield in. I'm going to bring the infield in on this. Now it changes the whole thing. 19 is a no. It was a 19 in play. That was and we moved it to a 25 because that's the number there. 20. Well, actually, we can do a 19. It's a pop up. Pop up. That solves the problem. Pop up 4. So Foley pops up with the go-ahead run at third base. And next is going to be Steve Henderson. Now, Steve Henderson is a righty batter, so we're going to see a pinch hitter now. Montreal is going to bring in, did I say pinch hitter? No, a relief pitcher. And it's going to be Stan Bonson. Stan Bonson is going to come in. He actually pitched in this game. Bonson's a righty, so it makes sense. And Grimsley's out. Bonson is in. Stan Bonson. And we're going to do this thing. Stan Bonson right there. And here's the pitch to Henderson. It's right in Bonson. Grimsley. And then Bonson. Here's the pitch. And that's an 8 off Bonson. It's in play, and it's an in play 97. and that's going to be way in the out range. That's a fly ball lifted to left, and that's going to be caught by Cromartie for out number 3. The Mets, they threaten, they leave 2, and at the end of 7.5, it's a 2-2 ball game. We go to the bottom of the 8th. In the bottom of the 8th, we're going to see Andre Dawson coming up, leading it off for the Expos. And for the Mets, there's going to be a new pitcher on the mound, and it's going to be Scott. Let's learn a little bit about Scott here. Look at all these players we have. Mike Scott's going to come in there. Now, Mike Scott played in 18 games and started 9. He had a 1-3 record with a 5.33 ERA, but he actually pitched in this game. And you don't expect him to be a 5.33 ERA. I mean, you're thinking, man, this guy's going to really dominate. Scott was either a great pitcher or goes on to become a great pitcher. I think he was a great pitcher. And anyway, he's in the game now for the Mets. He's going to be facing Dawson. So here's the pitch from Scott. That's a 7. In play, an in-play 18. Scott's a righty, and that's going to be line drive. Base hit for Dawson, and he's got a danger to run. And let's see, Dawson, there he goes, and nope, can't get the lead. So next is going to be Scott. We're going to bunt with Scott as a C bunter. C bunter is a sacrifice hit. Successful, and that's going to be to the pitcher, 1-4. And that's 1-4. But going to second is Dawson. And next is Warren Cromartie. And that's a 10. That's in play 17. And that's line drive base hit. And we're going to see with that, run around second, advances 1 base, and then we have a question mark. So it's a base hit to the left fielder. In left field for the Mets, we have Henderson. Let's look and see what Henderson. We can see Henderson. Henderson is a 7-arm. A 7-arm, so he's not a very good arm out there. He does not have a very good arm. And the runner on third is Dawson. No, he's a second. Wait a sec. Oh, but he's trying to score on the single, right? He's trying to score on the single. Let's look and see what Dawson is, what his story is. And he is a 7. So if we roll 7s or less, he will score. If not, if it's both, if it's higher than 7, then he's out. But if it's 1 and 1, then we have to roll on the chart. Let's see what happens. He's safe at home under the tag. RBI single by Warren Cromartie, and that gives the Expos a 3-2 lead. Now the throw to home, Cromartie, if he is a speedster, he's a 7. He takes second base. So Cromartie's on the second now on the throw. I do that for the speedsters. That's kind of my house rule. If you're a speedster and there's a throw home, you're going to get the extra base. So now it's Ellis Valentine against Mike Scott. That's a 5. That's a patient 45, and that's going to be in the out range. And that's going to be popped up left side. Shortstop Foley, out number 2. And next is Perez, Tony Perez, and that's a wheelhouse. Perez against a righty wheelhouse is a 1-23, and that's a 40. That's going to be a line drive base hit. And will that score Cromartie? We don't know. Let's see what happens. It's a line drive into center field. Runner on second advances 1 base, but are there 2 outs? Yes, there are. And Cromartie is definitely going to score because he's a 6 or more. RBI single for Perez. Gary Carter now. And that's a 7 in play. An in play 0-2. And that is a liner into left center, cut off by the left fielder. And around to score is Perez, and into second is Gary Carter with his third double of the game. So the Expos here at home are breaking it open. It was Carter with no, I'm sorry. It was Parrish with the 2 doubles. So Carter, that's Carter's first hit of the game, but it comes in an opportune time in that it scores a run, a 2-out double, and now it's Parrish. Parrish coming to bat. Mike Scott is still in there. We're not moving Mike Scott. That's a 7 in play, and in play 62. That should do it. In play 62 is a fly ball lifted to right. Mets right fielder Youngblood squeezes it. Out number 3, but the damage has been done. 3 big runs on 1, 2, 3, 4 big hits. And we go to the top of the 9th. The Mets get their last licks, if you will, in a game that they are now behind by a score of 5-2. And leading it off, Stan Bonson is in there. Willie Montanez is going to lead it off for the Mets. Montanez. Now, Montanez batted .229 versus righties. That's a 10. That's ballpark. Okay, so that's a 10. So a lefty, that's going to be wheelhouse. So wheelhouse for Montanez is an 11. And that's a 96. That's going to be way in the out range. And that's going to be a fly ball to right. Elvis Valentine, a couple of steps to his left, makes the catch, puts it away. Next is John Stearns. That's a 9. That's patient. And that's a 0-3. A 0-3. A patient 0-3 is going to be a walk. So Stearns walks. He's on at first. No stolen base attempt right now. Richie Hebner, the lefty. That's a 9. That's patient. A patient 85. A patient 85 takes it to the out range. That's going to be a ground ball second base. We rolled a 9. That's an okay. So it's going to be a fielder's choice 4-6. And Hebner trades places with Stearns. There's 2 outs now. Stan Bonson on the mound. And it's Youngblood. Youngblood hit a home run earlier in the game. That's a 6. That's going to be tough. A tough 90. A tough 90 against a righty. That's in the out range, and that's going to be a ground ball. Hard hit, but right at the shortstop. Spire across the diamond to Perez, and the game is over. The Mets. And that's 3. The Mets lose it by a score of 5-2. They hung in there until the bottom of the 8th inning. And the bottom of the 8th inning reads like this. Andre Dawson singles to lead it off. Rodney Scott sacrifices him over to second. Then Cromartie singles the throw to home. And Dawson's safe under the tag. Cromartie hustles to second, the throw to second. And no, not in time. So it's an RBI single for Cromartie in the bottom of the 8th inning. And then it's Valentine with 1 out in the bottom of the 8th. Cromartie on at second. And the pitcher is Mike Scott, and Valentine, the swing, and pops it up to the left side, and shortstop is there. Foley makes the catch, and now with 2 outs, it's Tony Perez and Cromartie. And Cromartie at second takes his lead. And here's the pitching. Perez lines it to center field, and hustling around third is Cromartie, and there will be no throw. And Perez hits a 2-out single to drive in the 4th run of the game. Next, Perez takes his lead off first, and it's Gary Carter steps into the box. Here's the pitch from Scott, and that ball is driven into the gap, and Mazzilli hustles after it. Around to score is Perez, and Carter in at second with a 2-out RBI double, and the score is now 5-2, and then Parrish flies out to right for the end of the inning, and that's how the game ends. It was 2-2 until that point. So we have a pretty good game. The loss is going to go to Pat. Actually, you know what? The loss, that's funny, because the loss is going to go to Mike Scott. Pat Zachary was replaced in the bottom of the 8th when all the scoring happened. And the win is going to go to Ross Grimsley. Wait a second. No, Ross Grimsley. No, Stan Bonson is going to get the win because he came in when the game was tied in the top of the 8th. He came in to replace Grimsley. So both relievers, one Scott gets the loss and Bonson gets the win. And that's it for the game today, guys. Thanks for stopping by. It was an impromptu game. I threw it together real quick. Just got home from work, pretty exhausted. I will be setting up the Phillies for a 3-game Philly homestand. Mets at Phillies for 3 games. That's going to be tremendous fun. And we're playing Payoff Pitch, one of the coolest games around, and some of the nicest cards I've ever seen. And that's about it. So Combat Painter says so long, adios, hasta la vista, arrivederci, and all the other fun stuff. Take care. Final score, Expos 5, Mets 2. Did it freeze again on me? Wow. All right. What's going on with this tonight?